Hello and welcome to the Dream is Real podcast. This is the place if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in New York real estate. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Don't want you to miss an episode as we keep bringing you great content. And today is no different. I'm here with Alon Jakubowitz of Brooklyn Land Title Agency. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course. Very nice to meet you.
Good. I tell you, it's good to have another tall guy here in the office, right? Of course,
absolutely.
Of course, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about LeVar. LeVar's pretty tall, our broker. But you were actually a collegiate basketball player, right?
I was. In college days, I played D3 at a small college called Yeshiva. Very exciting times. We actually had a great team. We broke some records.
Really?
We won 50 games straight, which was a D3 record for most games consecutively won. Led to a lot of exciting, fun times.
Oh, that's awesome. What was that like, being on a team that was reaching for a record? At what point did you say, hey, maybe we got a shot for this?
I mean, it's really having a belief the whole time. I was excited the whole way through. Our team was extremely dedicated. We were able to recruit major players that really could have played on a D1 level. We actually had this, an interesting niche where our college is actually basically based just for Jews.
Okay.
So we were able to recruit talents from a D1 pool for people that necessarily didn't want to go on the D1 level, kind of sacrifice the religion. And we were able to bring them in here, and, we really had an amazing talent pool. And if you can't believe in that, what else?
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're able to take what's a great niche, right? Your faith, and then bring that. I'm sure that helped out as well, to have faith. You have to have faith in what you don't see yet to be able to achieve things that seem out of reach, right? So,
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Now you're in the title business. Tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you end up from D3 collegiate basketball to the title world?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, I don't know that many people that kind of leave college and they're like, okay, I'm interested in title insurance. This is something that I want to pursue full time. So I always had interest in real estate in general. And I was speaking to people within my community, and I was able to get in touch with a very successful commercial real estate broker in our community. He invited me to his office. We sat down, and after a conversation, it felt like something that I wanted to pursue. It felt like a good entryway into real estate, a way to make connections, learn a little bit more. So I started there. That was Rosewood Realty, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was there for probably a year and a half, but I got there maybe right after COVID, so I would say that the market wasn't in the best place for
that was a really
sales.
strange time for. Now, do you feel like being there that time, during that time, you were able to learn a little bit differently than you would have if it was a normal market? What was it like breaking into an industry in the midst of that? Because how do you, by now you probably know what normalcy is, but then nothing was normal.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I would say the way to get through deals, you kind of had to get creative at that time. There was a lot of different, routes that buyers were trying to take in order to acquire their properties that I would say were not so, it wasn't something that really you just learned right away, or something that was just something you kind of knew inherently just from something that you picked up in college. So that was a really good learning experience, just to kind of speak out with these buyers, with other real estate agents that probably, had more experience than I did. So I learned a lot through that process. But yeah, it was a difficult time, and it was fun to learn the different ins and outs and how we were able to successfully make these transactions go through.
What was it that first drew you to real estate? You said that you've always had a passion for it, or at least a drawing to it. What exactly about the industry interested you?
I would say it's definitely the relationships. I was always driven on, I always feel like I'm somebody that comes off as easygoing, somebody that can easily make a relationship, make people feel comfortable. And I always wanted to be a kind of a problem solver, somebody that people can go to and just have the answers or have another connection that could help them out. So that was really my driving force. So yeah, that's really what led me into the industry.
So how do you take that piece into the title world? Because you think about the title world, and it's a lot of paperwork, and it's a lot of moving parts and a lot of factors, and often the individual who is over the title is somewhat, I would say, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, of course, in the background a lot of times, just looking at everything, looking at surveys. But how do you bring that kind of customer first approach that you're talking about?
Right. Yeah, it definitely can be very technical, and there's a lot of paperwork that's involved. Thank God, we have a great team behind us that handles a lot of the technical side and the paperwork, probably the more boring side of title. But I like to think of it more as I get the opportunity being in title. It's kind of the glue of the deal. You kind of order title at the beginning, right, when you get into contract, and that's where there's a lot of moving pieces. So it kind of gave me the opportunity to not just speak and focus in on one thing. As a broker, you're really just speaking buyers and sellers.
Right.
But when you're in title, you get the opportunity to speak to lenders, attorneys, agents, buyers, sellers, really everybody. And that's what I really enjoyed, because I'm not closing the door on anybody. I'm able to speak to anybody and anyone. And then I'm able to then refer out that business. I'm able to vet these people, see how they do, and then I'm able to then in the future, when certain situations come up, a deal gets sticky, I can then, refer them out to the client and be able to figure out the deal and get it done that way.
Yeah, I like the way you put it. Title is really, in a lot of cases, the glue. It's what holds things together. Because when things get sticky, as you put it, maybe we'll talk a little bit about some ways that can happen. Because a big part of what we're doing here is educating the world to know, one, that the dream of real estate is absolutely is real, and that's something that can still be pursued. But obviously, you need the right team around you. So in that team dynamic, where do you feel like, other than the technical side, that title can play a role in keeping it all together?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that on the technical side, it's really everything. I mean, we communicate with the attorneys, we communicate with the buyer, we communicate with the seller, right? We're brought in usually by the buyer. The buyer is usually the one who orders title, but then we're kind of put in touch with their attorney. We're put in touch with the seller's attorney. So we really kind of have an angle on everything, I would say, on the technical side, where we speak to the surveyors as well. So we really have the ability to speak to kind of every aspect of the closing process, and we try to handle it extremely smooth and just full transparency, and kind of work it out that way.
Right, because there are curveballs that will be thrown in any given transaction. What are some of the biggest hurdles that you come across that are the unseen that eventually become seen?
I would say it's really a seller that doesn't have his ducks in a row. Somebody that doesn't know exactly what's going on. If you have any unopened, like liens that are open, or you have an open mortgage, really it's about just getting those kind of technical things solved first, and that makes the closing process go a lot smoother. So usually the problems that we run into are people that are a little more unorganized, and that's kind of where we try to offer our services, speak to the client beforehand, and just try to make sure that everything goes smooth, from A to Z.
So obviously, if there's any outstanding debts that need to be handled, that all comes up in the process. And what we try to do here is kind of mitigate the anxiety of like, I don't know what I don't know, so I'm not gonna sell the house, or I'm not gonna try to buy a house or whatever. What would you give in the way of advice to someone who's maybe sitting on the fence, wants to get involved in real estate in some way, shape, or form, doesn't know what they don't know, and a lot of that would come up in title? What advice would you give them?
I think the best way to go about it, and it's something that I've been doing throughout my career, is really finding the right team. Speaking to as many people as possible who have done it before, who have that experience, and can just really guide you through the process. It's great to have somebody on your right, your right-hand man, who can lead you through the process, who's done it before. And I would really find somebody that's willing. It's kind of a irk for me when you kind of speak to somebody who just wants to get the deal done. They're there, they're going to do their part, and that's great. But you want to find somebody that's open to questions and open to answering any questions that you might have. And being a problem solver is really the biggest thing. So go find your problem solver is really what I would say.
So when you say the irk or the pet peeve that you have, it's individuals in your industry that are more calloused in a sense of just like, well, here's the paperwork, here's what we need to do. Let's just get it done, versus you serving through information. Because I think that's a lot of times the anxiety. It's like, again, you don't know what you don't know. So what are some ways that you and your team try to get out in front of that and be available, right? Sometimes they say the best ability is availability. How do you remain available for your clients?
I really try as hard as I can. Some people are more willing, some people less, but I would say I really try as hard as I can to tell people, use me, like ask me questions, use my network, ask who I could set you up with, who can ask questions. I think people think too hard into, well, maybe you're going to try to lead me to somebody that, is just going to help, it just benefit you personally, like me. But I would say that really you should ask your questions. And I try my hardest to tell them, ask your questions. I have people behind me who can answer if I don't know the answer. We want to give you the knowledge so that not just this deal goes through smoothly, but your next couple deals go through smoothly as well.
Right, because you want the deal to go through. Nobody wants a deal to last and go on and on. But what you're saying is to be able to have them ask you the right questions. You get to the bottom of, because probably the worst case scenario is you overcome one hurdle, and then another hurdle comes up, and then another hurdle comes up, and probably through clear communication, a lot of that could have been avoided, right?
Absolutely. Communication is always key. So we really try to stay on top of it as much as possible. And that's kind of why I enjoy where I'm at. We have a small boutique firm, which is just, we're on top of every deal 110% of the time. We're always just we're there for the client, kind of when you go to a bigger firm, and you see this really anywhere throughout real estate, you go to a bigger firm and they kind of push you, okay, here's a team that we're giving you, or here's this. And then you kind of you have a question, and then the rep that you're speaking to is like, oh, here's a question. Let me loop you in with this guy. That guy loops you in with another guy. It feels like you're jumping through hurdles just to answer a simple question. So for us, we're always available, text, email, phone call, anytime. And we want to answer your questions. And I always try to get back to them at least within the hour, because really we don't want it to be a burden to ask a simple question. You should get your answers clear, concise, and as fast as possible.
Good stuff. And this is coming from somebody who knows what it means to play for a winning team, right?
Absolutely.
Are you a homeowner who is looking to expand your home so you have enough space for everything you need in your home? Or do you want to renovate because the interior just doesn't work for your needs anymore? Or are you someone who's looking for a property, but nothing that you've been looking at really fits what you need? Well, my name is Catherine Serrano Sosa. I'm the founder of Rooted Architecture Studio, and I can help you bring those renovations and adjustments to life. At Rooted Architecture Studio, we focus on creating meaningful, inclusive, client-centric designs for homeowners and investors. We walk you through the whole process of design and construction and making sure that you understand what's going on, but take away all the layers so you can sit back and just focus on the deliverables of what we're designing. We make sure that your non-negotiables are integrated and your wants and needs are integrated to the best of our abilities. So if you are looking to do anything that I just discussed, or just have ideas that you might want to talk about what the possibilities may be, give us a call and reach out through social media as well, and we'll be happy to help you. And if you're looking for a new property, make sure to connect with Dream Select Realty. They're the right people to help you find the right property for you and make sure that your needs are integrated. Or if we're renovating, we can all collaborate together to bring that vision to life.
What are some questions that you wish more homeowners, prospective buyers, investors would ask right at the outset?
Yeah, I mean, I would really just try to get, I wouldn't say you need to know the technical part of title. You know, the technical part, you could leave that to the attorneys, let them handle the paperwork, but get in front of it. I mean, really just ask whatever you're thinking. And like I said, you know, we have a great team behind us, and we have an expanded network of people that have all the answers for you. I don't know if there's a singular question that I could point out, but I would say to get in the nitty-gritty of it, because it's worth it. It's not just another expense or something that, you know, doesn't matter. It does matter. It's something that you should get out in front of, and you should learn about it, because it really is something that can make and break a deal.
Right. Not to put words in your mouth, but what I hear when you say it does matter, I guess if it's a concern for you, the homeowner, the buyer, the investor, then it's worth asking, because a lot of times that's why you're there, right? Is to be able to help things go smoothly. So as far as surveys, survey every time on the house?
We go for a survey almost every time. Usually it's requested anyway by the attorney. Most attorneys won't go through without a proper survey. And that's just because it's very important just to get everything in line so that the title comes out clear and you know, you can move on with the deal. So I would definitely recommend getting a survey every time.
What are some of the pitfalls that can happen if you didn't have a proper survey in place?
Yeah, I mean, if there's an encumbrance or, you know, some type of encroachment on the property that wasn't clearly stated before, or something that has come up over the course of time, those are things that could derail a deal if they're not, you know, identified and solved right away. So, you know, it's always important to kind of get a survey and to get out in front of it as soon as possible.
Got it. At what point, so get the survey as soon as possible. As far as you know, on the buyer side, from a seller's perspective, do you feel like it's a good thing for the seller to make that move?
I think it's a good thing to make that move, because, like I said, it's something that could delay or really derail the deal in total. So, like I said, you know, get your ducks in a row, make sure that you have everything, and present it clear and concise so that we're able to just go through the process as smoothly as possible. Otherwise, you know, you're going to run into a problem, and then, you know, you could point fingers, but at the end of the day, if you didn't get out in front of it first, then you know, whose fault is it really?
No, that's a very good point. Accountability, right? So you basically started in COVID. So you started under that firestorm, right? And now we're in a very competitive market. Another reason to get out in front of things, right? Because a lot of times, you know, folks have your house in mind. They have other homes in mind. You know, the options are minimal, but people are going to go a lot of times the path of least resistance. What do you see in the market today, either presently or coming down the pike, that maybe you'd want to share with the audience?
I mean, I would say that things are definitely trending upwards. You know, there's a lot more people willing to kind of move to the right price point. I would say, you know, before it was kind of sellers were looking at a place where they were looking to get more than they could actually get for a property. So I would say now people are kind of just coming down to reality just a
Okay.
little bit, trying to, and that like in total really makes things run a lot smoother when you have two sides that are kind of more on the same page and willing to get something done rather than this is just what I'm trying to get at, what I'm trying to get to, like kind of move on. I think we're kind of trending to a market where we kind of have people on the same page that are
So you feel like there's a little more flexibility between the buyer and the seller happening right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say so.
You're based out of you said well, it's Brooklyn Land Title Agency, but you're servicing all New York State.
We service New York, New Jersey is kind of where we specialize, but we service all 50 states, which is, a common misconception with our name.
Fair enough.
Which is fun. It's always fun to explain that, we have the ability to close in all 50 states.
That's kind of the Brooklyn way, right? It's
Yeah,
like, if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere. That's
always,
great.
always.
So in regards to that, different regions, obviously you're experienced not only in New York State, but outside. But let's talk about New York State. Are there kind of nuances to different areas in New York that you see that make the title game a little bit different, or is it fairly the same across regions?
I would say there's definitely differences, but for title specifically, I would say it's really just, it depends on you even zone in more than just New York State as a whole. It depends on every county that you deal with. We speak to the county directly, depending on where that property is. So I would say really it's really as precise as the county and city that your property that you're looking to buy or sell is. But I would say overall, there's not that many differences, but it depends. I would say it depends.
What's one deal in your career so far that you feel like you'll never forget? Give me an example.
Yeah, we had a deal. This was in Texas. We had a land deal in Texas, which was really interesting. You'd think land would kind of just go smoothly. I mean, it's just a plot of land, no big deal. I don't think a day went by throughout the closing process where something else didn't come up, and that could be something on the technical side, like an encumbrance or an encroachment that came up, to the lender changing their policies, or the attorneys kind of got into it with each other, and it really just felt good at the end once it closed, because it really felt like.
So you're not just giving examples. All of the above that you mentioned, and probably even more so, was happening on a day-to-day basis.
Day-to-day basis, something new. And every single day I thought, okay, I can move on from this deal. I could focus on another one. And that's really how I felt like it was going to go. But every single day it felt like I was solving another issue. And that's the most fun part of the job. You solve all these issues, and once you kind of get to the finish line, it feels incredible.
So for the sake of time, obviously we can't delve into every single issue, but can you give an example of an issue that popped up and what you had to do as the title professional to go ahead and solve that? Because it seems like being a problem solver at the same time of building good relationships is a skill set that you have to have. So in that particular deal or another deal, what are some examples?
So that particular deal, there was an issue with the lender where he kind of gave his criteria for the deal, and towards the middle of the deal, that kind of all started to crumble, which is always an issue. You want to get somebody that's just professional to the point and kind of like lays it out in front of you, like this is what you could expect. And I think that this was his own relationship, someone he got in touch with, and they ran into a couple issues along the way, and that kind of fell apart. And I turned around within a day, found him a new loan officer who got him even better details and criteria for the deal that worked amazingly. And now I know I have this problem solver on my team. He's vetted, and he'll help me out with any other deal.
And that's the type of thing. If you look at the role of a title professional, nowhere in that is it to source another loan officer or find financing, but that's something that you were able to do as a kind of an extra effort based upon. Was this a relationship that you had, or?
I mean, yeah, this is someone that we speak to whenever, a loan also, whenever you're taking out a loan, that also requires title. So these are people that we need to speak to as well. And I mean, it's exciting. I mean, it's not just this one loan officer that I have. If he didn't work out, I have 3 more for you. And that's really where I find fun in it, is kind of having these relationships and these networks, and why I, press my clients, ask me who I have, ask me those questions, because I promise you, I have someone in my network that has the right answer for you.
Awesome. So you come from a record-breaking team. You work with a great team now, and you know how to pull together a great team.
That's right. That's the motto.
I think that's a great set of skills there. How can the audience get in touch with you to contract you for this for your title services?
Yeah. So I mean, you can reach me anytime. I should give out my cell.
Yeah, sure. Well, whatever you feel comfortable with.
No, I'm happy to. My cell is 516-388-0848. That's 516-388-0848. You can reach me at my email anytime, ajakubowitz@brooklynlandtitle.com. LinkedIn, you can really reach me anywhere, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And we could always even if it's just a conversation, or you have that problem that needs to be solved, I even try to pride myself on even if it's not getting a title deal done, I'm happy to try to connect you to the right person that'll help your deal, run smoothly. So anytime, I'm available.
Awesome. Well, Alon, thank you for coming on today. It was great to meet you. Great conversation. And thank you for joining us here on the Dream is Real podcast. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in New York real estate, feel free to reach out to us. You can find us at dreamselectrealty.com. If you want to check us out on Instagram and TikTok, it's at dreamselectrealty. And on X, it's at dreamselecthome. If you want to be part of the program, just email us at hometeam@dreamselectrealty.com. And we'll see you next time. Just remember, the dream is real.